Yeah.
Um, okay. Well, Christina, thank you for being here with me today. I'm really excited to talk to you about your journey. So, if you want to jump in and tell us about your role and your journey to it.
So I think I have a very unconventional, I don't know, sometimes I forget English. I'm sorry. Journey to where I'm at right now. So I am from Puerto Rico and I got here to Kansas City through Teach for America while I was still abroad in Korea. So um right now I'm a English language support teacher, which was what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I wanted to be an English teacher, so I went abroad. I worked in Korea for about 2 years, but before that I lived in Korea and I just like loved being there. I also living there kind of like highlighted my Puerto Ricanness. So I was the only Puerto Rican person in however like ratio that I was, right? And back home I was just Cristina, and in Korea I was Cristina, the Puerto Rican. And I think that changed a little bit how I saw my cultural background from myself. Because I just thought I want to be an English teacher. English is so cool, blah, blah, blah. But then I started seeing other layers to this and how I could actually be helpful to the community. And I thought coming to the United States would be the most it would make the most sense for what I wanted to do. So I got here through Teach for America. I was teaching in preschool, which I love. I was in preschool for a long time. I was also a preschool teacher in Korea. Here I'm in middle school, and I think I was doing a big impact. I was making a big impact then, but I feel like now, sorry, my light. I think now that I have students that are a little bit more aware of what is going on, and they're in middle school, so they're learning their identity, they're learning social cues, their body language, their own language, their family, their peers, all these things. And I wanted to serve as a role model. So I know that a lot of the students are into like pop culture and all these things, and they hear, oh, Miss Caraballo has gone to Korea, and then that like attracts them to me, but then they see more of me, and that's not just it. And so I am really interested about what they want. I'm really interested about what they have to say. I think of students as people, and I know that sounds like, of course they're people, but I feel like adults sometimes forget that students are people. And I am interested in what they have to say. I would never disrespect a colleague. Why would I disrespect a child? I would never speak over a colleague. Why would I speak over a child? I would never just dismiss a coworker that's feeling sad or tired. Why would I dismiss a student? So I think by having those social emotional like connections with students, I am able to help them more. I feel like I'm rambling on, but so I think like as my role is English support teacher, but I do way more than that. I feel like the students that I work with don't have big you know how you call it, like people that support them. They only have either mom that came with them or dad that came with them, um or maybe a tia, or maybe like a cousin, but that's it. And I know how that feels because I've been abroad, and I know how that feels because I'm here alone. And they can see themselves a little bit in me, hopefully. And I feel like I can keep them accountable when it comes to schoolwork, because I'm not just some disconnected person. I'm more like into what they're also doing and what they live. Can you hold on a second? Okay. Are those my keys? Okay, sorry. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but
Absolutely. And I
so
love that.
I had somebody come in here, so I was like,
You're fine.
yeah. And I also think like working here, this is a Black and brown school. I feel like I also serve as a diversity, like representation to the students that are not part of my cultural background. Because they see like, oh, Miss Caraballo, she's like I look kind of ambiguous, right? So it's like, oh, she's not a white lady. So, oh, she's Hispanic. Oh, I like, like I'm teaching also through just like being here about other possibilities and what the world looks like. It's not just, like I had a teacher in ninth grade that always said, is all black or all white? She didn't mean like people. She meant like things are one way or the other way. But I always thought that to be true, but now I know that that's not true. There's gray areas to everything. And so I feel like I can, with my presence, teach students about that gray area. And just, the Latinx community is so big. It's so wide. I don't even know how to like explain it. And they see that I'm different than my students, but we're also the same. I don't know. I am very passionate about this, but I feel like also I don't have the words all the time to express that. But I feel that, just constantly being there for the students, I have seen a shift. Like they do trust me. I have students coming from other classrooms coming here to talk to me. And I'm just like, do your teacher know you're here? Because I cannot just have you like, break the rules so you can come to me and talk to me about whatever's going on that I do want to hear, but we need to do it the right way. So yeah. It does come a shock to me when I saw this email, like I said before, because I have a little bit of like imposter syndrome, I feel like. And I did not think of this at all, really.
Yeah. Yes, that's so beautiful. Something that stuck out to me is your awareness of your students' emotions and treating them like humans and adults.
Yeah.
I agree. I think yeah, I had sort of traumatizing moments growing up where I was like, this person is like not a little like, baby or whatever. So I feel like, sometimes teachers forget. And that's like one of the best things that you can do is like acknowledge that like you're a whole person, you're growing, you're like in a crazy moment in your life. And so I'm gonna treat you as such. And just like having that respect. And so I'm sure like if your students could have nominated you, they would have like, because
Yeah.
I'm sure that they see that in you too. That's really important. And you said you don't have the words, but I'm like, girl, you are like you're explaining all the things, and it's so beautiful. And I'm sure like it really captures how like, your colleagues and your students actually see you in that light day to day, even if you don't like, you know, consciously do it. I can see that you really care about it. And so thank you for sharing and opening up about what matters to you.
Thank you. Well, I feel like I still don't like I didn't explain what it's in my heart. But because sometimes when I talk to the students, sometimes they open up to me, and this happened this semester. And I've had the same group that I teach like in that shelter English instruction for like almost a year now. Um and she opened up about like a very, a story that some immigrants go through, like going through the desert and all these things. And then she said something that's a little bit more personal. And I looked at her like I didn't think she would say something like that to me. And then she said, um, la confianza. And I was just like, oh, okay. It was like the first moment that I realized that I'm actually having an impact on them. And I was like, okay, I just gotta be myself. Because sometimes I feel like I might be focusing too much, maybe not in the academics, but I care about like their social emotional learning piece. And I guess it pays off because they're sitting there, they know that they can talk to me about something, but they're like, okay, so whenever I get this done, I'll talk to her about this. And I feel like that also, like I said earlier, keeps them accountable because they know that they come here and I have expectations for them academically, but also that I am not going to let them slip through the cracks. Because I feel like a lot of the Latinx students, because they're quiet and submissive and they are, trying to blend in, so they're not, for whatever reason at home, they don't want to like bring too much attention, they can definitely slip through the cracks of other teachers that might not be aware. And to me, that's so important. And I keep advocating for them all the time. Like I am like, they're, they're like 15% of our school, which is not a lot. So that we're like the minority of the minority. And I just, yeah, that is something that I really care about. So
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Not about me, I won't go into it. So this nomination for Educator of the Year, could you tell me a little bit about like what that means to you?
I I I don't know what it means to me yet. I think initially I'm like, oh, I'm seen by somebody. And well, at first I was joking, like, oh, now I gotta be perfect. Like people have eyes on me. But I think it matters because then my work is important. And I think whatever I'm doing with the students, it's seen. And I that's important because that could possibly bring more resources to students. That could possibly bring more opportunities to them. Last semester, I was able to get funding for the ELs here. I got $1,400 for books. And that, if something like this gets out there, then, if our name gets out there saying, and they know that we have Latinx students that are immigrants, or not just immigrants, because we also have Latin, like Chicano students, or students that are born here but have a different background, and their home language is a different language, and they struggle at school, then that could help them too. So I think it is important in that way. And not only they see me, but they see my students. And I think that's important overall. But at first, like, it's hard to still like, I'm like, I'm having a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, why would I get nominated really? But I think it's important in that aspect though. If it shines some light on me, then it shines light on my students. And I tell them all the time, like, whatever you guys do, it reflects me, and whatever I do reflects you. So we all got to do great because we're a team. Um, and they don't like hearing that because it keeps them more accountable. But that's how I feel. We are, and it is true. Like in the saddest way, it is true, and in the good ways, it's true. Like I feel like whenever somebody does something bad, I feel like it's reflective on me. I'm like, no, because you're my student, but that means I'm doing something wrong. So this is not gonna happen. But if we're doing something good, then we're all doing something good. And so this nomination would be the same thing. So yeah, I actually got this after I saw the email later in the day, but I cannot wait to tell my students about it, like when I get them in third period.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Like, it is for all of you, like the work that you do is really impactful to them. And they're the ones that are like reaping all the benefits of that.
Yeah.
So I love that. So I know you touched on this a little bit, but data does show that Latinx representation matters in schools. Um, what impact do you see yourself having on your students, and why are Latinx teachers important?
I think it's because they need to feel they belong, and they're here in school all day. And some students, they get resources from school, right? Like food, clothes, sometimes. But sometimes I mentioned earlier, some of the students that come with one parent don't have the other parent. So where's that support system? And if they come to a school that they are not represented, they're not gonna feel like they can, like they're not gonna feel comfortable. They're not gonna feel seen. They're not gonna feel understood. They're not gonna feel heard. So by being here and just by speaking their same language, it does so much, but knowing that we share cultural background and that we connect, they feel a little bit more at home. And I see it when they talk to me and they kind of comfortably say things, or speak, their slang, or they talk to me about like things that happen in other classes, and they're comfortable to tell me because they want me to advocate, really. They're not really saying that, but they're 12, 13, 14, so that's what they're really looking for. So I'm here for that. Would it be the same if a Latinx educator was not here? I don't think so. I don't think it would be as easy, or it wouldn't be as easy for them. And it has to be easier. They're already having such a difficult time at home, or missing mom, or a lot of them don't have mom because mom is back home and dad is working, and dad works all day. And we have another co-teacher. I have a co-teacher here that, she's a little older, and we have that cultural thing in Hispanic culture, like, you're really respectful of elders. And so we serve as a family role model, I feel like, because you need vaccinations. Okay, we're gonna call so and so you can get this. Who's gonna do that? If they can, some of the parents don't read or write. So even if the other teacher that's not Latinx, or don't even like speak, like some people can like type or translate, they can't read it. How are you gonna communicate? Like, it is important. And I think mostly is because they feel like they're at home a little bit. And that means, like, that makes a whole difference, whether I want to go to school or I don't want to go to school. Or even like for my birthday a couple weeks ago, they were asking me constantly, are you going to come to school? Are you going to come to school? Are you going to come to school? And I'm just like, yes, I'm going to come to school. Because they want to celebrate me as well, because I celebrate. And it's just like this give and take that I know they wouldn't have if it wasn't a Latinx teacher, because it's harder. And I have felt that because I am a language student myself. When I was abroad in Korea, I didn't have anybody. So I had to adapt. But I was already an adult when that happened. So I knew consciously that I had to adapt. A 12-year-old might not even want to be in the United States, and they don't have a choice. So sheltering them here and just giving them those like little, pockets of home, it's important. It is important. They're here all day. It has to be comfortable. It has to feel like home. It has to be, they should want to come to school, because if not, learning cannot happen. You cannot learn from people you don't like.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing.
I don't even know what to say. It's just like, I feel like I'm just rambling and rambling and rambling.
No, it's perfect. So what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated and coming back every day and doing the work that you do?
Honestly, it's the relationships, because sometimes it's very hard to wake up and come here and just like, financially, but then even those aspects, the relationships keep me here, because I just mentioned the financial aspect. These students think I have money, and I'm just like, whew. Like, if I give them like a little gift, like, I go to Target and you get from the $5 section, you get them something, they think like, oh my gosh, this is like a good gift, you're rich, Miss Caraballo. It's like, no. But I see that innocence and just like really appreciation for the little things that they don't have. And or just like exploring a new like culture and exploring being in America, because some of them do want to assimilate. But it's hard, because how can they, right? So that relationship keeps making me come back here and teaching them the right things. And just that in the academic aspect, like this is going to help you to get whatever you want. Listen, if you don't want to go to college, then you have the option not to go to college. You're not going to go to college because you can't. Like if you don't want to, okay, but did you get in? Awesome. You don't want to, that's great. But and like I come from a very strict and conservative household, like, so I know that a lot of them do as well. And university is an expectation, but it's hard because you don't understand the language and you don't understand, like, it's different too. Like the education system is different in every country, and we have students from 4 different countries in our class. So yeah, I'm gonna come here and teach you what you need to do. The lights, sorry. And teach you what you need to have so you can make the choices that you want, because that's how it was for me and that's how I want it to be for you.